Okay, I'll just focus on my table for YouTubers. Let me start now. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening throughout the world. You're from, I know you're from different parts of the world, from Europe, from America, Canada, and many other countries, and some of you are watching on YouTube and on my regular online class recorded. Let me mute everybody. You can unmute yourself anytime you want to speak. This is a very small class, only about a dozen people. And I really appreciate your continued support of this Chinese landscape Zoom class live. So I'm very pleased to continue. And today we have two special guests. Professor Bill Yang, Yuanwei Yang. He's my hometown friends, how to say, from Nanjing. He now lives in the States. Maybe I can ask Professor Yang to just say hello if you want. The class is not possible without his knowledge and specialty in modern contemporary Chinese landscape painting. I have learned so much over the last 2 weeks, only remotely on Zoom and over the phone, with his very knowledge, wide knowledge and experience in Chinese brush painting. I've decoded this very important contemporary Chinese master, Chen Jialing, and I look forward to study other Chinese masters, landscape painting artists with him through this class. And also, I'd like to announce that he will be a guest teacher in the next month when we talk about his urban landscape painting. So he'll show us how to do that himself. Let's welcome Bill. And also, Yongle. Are you here, Yongle? She is now the 馆长, how to say, the head of the Brooklyn Library, Dyker Library, and she is the hostess of another series which will start on Tuesday on Chinese flower and birds painting. So will be two classes. On Tuesday will be flower and birds, and on Thursdays we'll concentrate on landscape. So let's get started. Today's subject matter is the new Chinese brush painting style after the Cultural Revolution. The Cultural Revolution officially ended in 1976 after the death of Mao Zedong. The collapse of his political allies, his wife and the others, we call it the Gun of Four in 1976, and the rise of back to power of Deng Xiaoping's era. So Chinese painting has gone a revolutionary change, I'd say, following the reopening of China to the West. In this painting, in this book, this cover painting was done by the artist Chen Jialing. And he's about his early 50s, I think, in the at the 1980s. He was born in 1937. Now is still active at the age of 86 in Shanghai. So he's one of the new Shanghai school artists. He embraced the concept of modern art, like design and the pure form, abstract form, and a different aesthetic than the traditional literati painting. And most interesting of his technique is this, as you see here, seeping ink or blotting. Blotting, seeping, rubbing, we call that brushless. It's a revolution of the traditional brush strokes. However, he still uses the same medium. He insists that he did use brush to paint, and he used rice paper, but with some special treatment, a solution before he paints. So you create this kind of interesting edges. Professor Yang, our guest speaker, maybe I should co-host you if you don't mind. So we can. He has done some experiment to decode the trick. The secret of Chen Jialing in the 80s, and so for the first time he shared with the outside China, the people. He only shared with his students before. So now thank Mr. Yang to share with us. Let me add you as a co-host. Okay. As I showed in the preparation video I sent you in the email before the class, according to Mr. Yang's study, we must treat the regular unsized shrimp paper with a solution made of laundry detergent. I have a little left over here. I can show you how to do it. If you haven't prepared that, you just put it in a bowl and brush it on with a large soft brush. Any soft brush, a flat brush will do. And maybe you should do 2 layers together. So you can treat 2 at one time, and then you just let it dry, or you can use a hair dryer, or don't use iron. I think you will make some chemical reactions where you create some bubbles, things like that. So I just let air dry for 2 days and it's completely dry. If you like, just use this as a media, as a add-on to the water, you will create the same effect. As a matter of fact, you can see an example. Let me see. Here on my, maybe I just take it out here. This painting was done on regular paper and not treated by the solution, but I used the solution as an add-on to the light ink and the color, so it creates a similar effect. A little border maybe. This kind of edge is what we're looking for. So this is one technique. We call it sipping edge or puddle edge. Actually, you don't really see puddle on this kind of paper, so it's maybe stain edge, you name it. Okay. And another technique is what we saw earlier on the cover of the book. Let me experiment that right away, so you can see how that is done. So I may need this as well, just for the best result. You can use this solution, the laundry detergent solution. Maybe add a little more water to it. You can use hand soap. You can use dishwasher. Just a pinch of it, not too much. It activates the ink. Let's say we just put a little ink. You can just. This is my instant. Actually, you can apply with a brush, but the brush stroke doesn't matter because it will disappear. Just as if you had a stain on the paper and wanted to stain, and that's you want to remove that. You can use the laundry detergent to do that. This must be invented accidentally. One day when I accidentally left my brush on the table like that, it after 1 hour and a half or something like that, you'll see that kind of flower. So let's wait. Patience is very important. So I'll use any soft brush today. This is a piston brush we carry at our website. The advantage of this is you can load more water in the piston. So let me just drain some water. Oops, it's not functioning. Maybe it's got stuck. Anyway, so I just use the front part. And we can just take some ink from here, and I'll just do another spot. We call this Morgan in Chinese, the root, ink root in this technique. It should be pure ink. You can use a small brush, maybe just so, and just you can write a Chinese character. It doesn't matter whatever you do, or just write a few strokes or dots. This is your ink supply, and then you put water on it. Okay, I think at this point, maybe 2 layers is not working, so I'll take that out. It just another thing is I'm using this ink I haven't tested before. It's a concentrate, Japanese blue ink. It's maybe too thick, but I used the leftover from Victoria's calligraphy class when I did the test. So now I try to use fresh ink. Okay, it's not working. but you learn from my mistake, I hope. So first of all, you want to activate the ink root. And then keep adding water from one direction, or you can put water in the center, so it will radiate from that. But don't brush. Just use brush as a water dropper. To just drop more water in the center. Okay, let me do this one correctly. This one seems not working. And this is a very slow process. It takes a lot of patience. It could be very long. And you can lift the brush, the paper, to control the direction of the flow. If you want a hard edge in the direction of the movement, you need to make sure the water is behind the front line. So if you put the water in the center, it would probably create a soft, feathery effect. Different ink. Maybe this ink is not flowing. I don't know why. Maybe too thick. This is like a concentrated ink, but eventually it will. It just takes time. Okay, here is let's just add some bubble things here. I'm studying to do something very new. I haven't tried before. See, it moves at least. Okay. Let's try again. Yeah, I think it will move. So this let me take that away. I was trying to do two pieces together, but I think it's better just do one. You know, Chen Jialing had a quote saying, "My work is done with God help." I just pray. I think it's time to. So that means that you don't have total control, and you have to count on some happy accident. So that's the idea. You see, it takes time. That's just the part today we will use for the plants, trees, the jungle in the landscape. So yeah, see this works now. Yeah, if you see something that you like. What do you do is to stop. So he has 4 words secret that he described his technique, but he didn't elaborate it. There's many interpretations, and the first one is run or 走走流走手漏透. I'll explain one by one when we come to that. So this is 走 means run or walk, but in classical Chinese 走 is run, I think. So just go, go. shou. Shou means to preserve. The way to preserve is to dry it. You can use a hair dryer or just use a blotting. I think okay. You can blot it like that, and then you can iron with a household iron. This, if you keep adding water in the root part, it will expand, to very far. Could be like 6 or 5 inches. Another trick I think I cracked with Mr. Yang's guidance is to do the dotted lines. We don't do that in the landscape. However, I want to show you if you want to do this kind of line. You use 2 pieces of the paper. On the front, you draw the line. He probably do it very slowly, and he even just dot the lines. I try to just show you the idea. So on the first layer, you just basically draw the line as you would do with traditional brush painting, and then it will penetrate through. We call that he called that leak. So his technique is rain, stop or preserve, and then third is to penetrate through or leak. You see, this second page he will use, and he would come back to add some dots. I'm pretty sure if you just dot, the first layer and with more dots, you will have more dotted lines. But now I just don't have time to do that, so I'll come back and add some those dots as we see on the stem of the lotus. The brush may be too wet right now. You can use a drier brush, and you can just do the dot without the line, or I use any hint like the wrinkle on the paper. Sometimes it can help me to see. You can just dot with a rhythm. But it's kind of hard because you tend to do it too even without a rhythm. There are some dense and sparse, just like lost in font. You see the rhythm, the dense and sparse. That's the idea. So this is it's much faster to just dot it than what you may think. Everybody's saying, "Oh, how that was done." You can use 2 layers. You can dot on this paper also, but it don't really take a long time if you just do it. Another technique is called the toe. Toe means there are many different translations. Interpretations. Some scholars, some researchers said. He probably talks about two pieces kind of print into each other or something like that. I think it has to do with the transparency of different layers, and he used overlapping layers, and that's the main focus of today's class. I will show you. So. And we'll talk about these other techniques when we apply it later. Okay. So this this third. Sorry. I got okay. Let me just try untreated paper 1 and treated paper. You can maybe stack them together just for fun. I haven't tried this, but it will be interesting. This is the detergent paper. It got wrinkles on it. I think it's good. And we can use the untreated paper on top maybe. Right. And here's another tip. If you got stains on the table, it's no good, right? So you can either iron it, you can blot it away with let me get that piece of paper towel. You need to keep the bottom clean. I washed it last night. Maybe it's not a good idea because that removes the size from the new felt. It makes it more absorbent, I think. The felt should be not so absorbent. It will hold the moisture, so it will temporarily hold the moisture and let the rice paper to gradually absorb it. That's the best. So maybe a wall felt would be, a traditional wall felt. Let me just turn it over. Okay. At least it will not stain my paper. And the next thing I'm going to do is to use a little bowl here to make some color. I just use some junk colors here. I got a dried up tube. I opened it. It's called it's phthalo blue. You can use indigo blue, I think. So this is it's more kind of Western kind of, but I will add ink to mute it. It's a little stronger than indigo, that phthalo. It's a transparent color, so we only use transparent color. But I found a little bit opaque color, like a mineral blue or green, might need it, but we'll wait and see. I haven't really get close up to view of his painting. I don't really know what. He mentioned in his in interviews he used like dirty colors, some color left over on the palette, or even brush washing, like the dirty water from the brush washer. So let me see. I only got gamboge yellow. I wish I have some yellow ochre. I think we also have yellow ochre in the new Maurice colors these days. So let me keep it simple. We just add ink to it. How about that? So I just got a little ink. You mix ink and the color because the two don't smear this in the same extent, so it will create the edge, the hard edge, the seam line of the stem. The reason we use this is to let me just add some more. Make a uniform color without any gradation. He revolutionized the concept of traditional painting. So in traditional painting, you load the brush with dark on the tip and light or water in the end. But in his painting, he used monochrome color only, and we can do some test before we do the painting. So I just use this paper. This too blue. So we just wash the brush. You can use any ink brush you just used. Just wash it. I did have a little bit detergent left over here, so it has little bubble you can see, but not too much. Yeah. Let me try. I think I don't see the seam line yet. Maybe I need a little particle. I guess I will just add a little mineral color. I got some green here. More ink, I think. I got some leftover ink, which is overnight ink on the ink stone here. I wish you could see from calligraphy class. Let me add a lot of ink. That certainly will create the lines we look for. So overnight ink. Better than. So that's what he talked about. Some junk colors, dirty colors. He liked to use. And then I need more blues. So I will end up with a lot of solution or this mix. I think I can find a yellow here. I keep the tubes in the plastic and put a little wet paper in it. That keeps the moisture. So I got yellow ochre, maybe a little bit like that, and you can have a little bit. Purple. If you want a little purple, you can add a little rose or carmine or something. Let's dry it up. Let me. Okay, we just use yellow. It will turn a little green, I think. So it looks dark, but actually it's not, right? Yeah, that makes it a little warmer or greener. Okay, sometimes we have to count on the other factors like temperature. I use iron. Maybe that steam will create the. Let's just hope. So I'll just have a go and just make a. Let me just use a small brush. I can use this mixture brush. Okay. make sure it's clean. So the first is the tallest, the highest level. In composition, let me pull out his sample painting here. Okay, this is the painting I'm going to try to mimic, okay? It's not possible to recreate even himself, I think. I don't hold the brush like a traditional ways because I want to cover the deliver the ink as quickly as possible and as fast as possible. On my left hand, I have a hair dryer ready, and I also have a paper towel. Paper towel may have the texture, so mine is probably okay. I'll just use a piece of rice paper. You can use a West painting, because for class I want to show you just look nicer. I just use a blank piece of paper as bottom paper. That will also serve as a protecting paper when I iron. So I just use the Japanese rice paper. Okay, and I also have the iron ready.
Henry, this paper is unsized and not treated.
Good question. I have two layers. One is it's unsized and treated on top, and then treated on the bottom. I'll do two at one time. Just I think Professor Yang told me that for this technique, the second layer usually useless. Let's see. Okay, I don't know. Let's try. So I'll do the last layer first, but you see it covers from the eye level or the horizon, the river bank, which is about near the bottom. Probably 1/6 or something like that. Yeah. So you start from here, you go up. This is very important. I learned from Bill, from Mr. Yang, that in the beginning I always start from top, so that bleed most. That create sausage shape mountains. If you want to make a triangular, please start from the bottom. So when the brush gets dry, you go slower and then do the shape. This will take 10 years of experience to learn. Probably you will never learn without Mr. Yang's guidelines. Thank you, Mr. Yang. That really solves the problem. See, I have more control on top this way. And you can add to the bottom, right? And here's the rule of game. You want to just use one single tone, but this is too dark though. I just realized that. Let me just add some more bubble and some. Maybe got some container. I just use this. Sorry, I have to adjust that. But it could dry lighter though. The rule of thumb is do not touch each other. So you can do another mountain on this side maybe, but could be far away from that. You want to. Oh, I start from the top. That's my old habit. My brush may be too small, but I purposely want to go slow so you have a chance to follow me. If I use a big brush, it will be done in 2 minutes probably. It's just one stroke, So you can do the shape better with a small brush, but this brush stroke should be minimum. So that's why a large brush may be preferred. You can see some fuzzy lines. I think it's not what I want. I want to see the ink line. Let's see. We may fail anyway. So you can leave a white area in between, but don't touch any. So I vary the shape. Actually, I'm not looking at the original anymore. I look at the painting of my own. Oh, I did another wrong way. You see, if you start from the top, it blurs more and dries at the bottom. That's a mistake I made. I just you learn from mistakes, right? Okay. So there's no touching, no overlapping at the beginning, right? Now I'm going to plot it. Okay, and because this is an untreated paper, that's why it didn't work. Let's just hope the second one works. I'll just try it. So this would be the top one for comparison. This was untreated. Okay, you see the edge is blurry, not hard. I don't know what happens on the bottom. Let's see. Oh, that's a different effect. Okay, too much texture. But it's good. There's one kind of painting like this. In which he mimicked the rubbing of bronze. It's more like this. It has a lot of and we count that as our near mountains, and we will try to avoid that. See, I do see some nice edge there, so hopefully we'll get some more when we proceed. Let me use okay, I use same brush, just before you do the second run, you want to dry the first completely to set it. You want to set it first, so it will not bleed into each other. Okay. It's an interesting painting anyway. So this is the first one. Let me just add a little. Oops. I think I violated the rule, but I want to make it a little lighter. So we'll go from dark to light, hopefully. Let's do this one here. So now I'm going to do another run, and it would be the rule is not repeat the same shape. You want to ignore that and then do maybe not ignore, just create another. Oh, I started from the top again. Sorry. It's so hard to change a habit once you. For decades I've done that, so it's kind of hard to. Yeah, I just use this as blotting paper. You see that texture is interesting. Not supposed to do that. That's the first layer. Okay, I just use this blotting paper to serve that function. So you can do one mountain at a time. If you want more control, you just iron it right away to set it before it goes too far. Same rule applies here. You don't want to overlap with the neighboring mountains. You overlap with the previous layer to create. The idea is when you overlap, it makes the darker part, the overlapping shade, create a shady area. So that's the idea of. I think I not understand why he says the God is his on the side, because you really don't have any control on this kind of technique. I have run like 30, 40 of them, and I have a pretty high success rate when I practice. But still, oops, what I'm doing. I think I'm doing the brush painting again, not. Okay. This is just the experiment, different style. So every piece is unique. I did save some blotting paper as a painting, sometimes it creates a painting on that. And you can just iron without that. If your iron is clean, you see I got some the residuals on it. I cannot really get rid of it. I think the ink is a little too dark. It's too dark. Let me add a little more. Okay, let me see. You see, I always start from the top. I don't know why. This should be the way to do it. Okay. Remind me if I do that wrong next time. And don't touch. No touching. Start from bottom. Start from bottom. No touching. Start from bottom. No touching. Let's just call it loudly. Remind of ourselves. And iron before it gets like a sausage. Okay, another artist I would talk during this time. He's very influential in mainland China, but he's from Taiwan. His name is Liu Guosong. In the 1960s, he started the movement of contemporary Chinese ink painting in Taiwan. He has a slogan that to get rid of the brush, the tip-centered stroke, and he called his studio like a science laboratory. So you should experiment with different techniques. So he created his own paper actually for texture. We'll study that next week probably. But his concept, his idea is very inspiring for the whole generation of artists, including myself, to do blotting, sipping, printing, monoprint, all kind of things to create a texture using hair dryer, iron, whatever technique approach. I didn't get the line I was looking for some reason. Very frustrating. Okay, now I'm going to. I think the problem is the laundry detergent, because I didn't use that before when I was successful. So let's just get rid of that. We'll do another solution without that. Okay, I think that could be wrong. I was using another liquid which works, but I'll keep that as a secret until I failed all other tests. Because like I said, it's an experiment. It's like a science laboratory. You just have to find out what works for you. I do know what works for me in the past few days, but for some reason I can't do that without it. Let me see. So I'm not going to add any bubbles in here. I just use pure water and ink. See if it works better. Okay. Oops. Where's my ink? Just clean the brush. Got ink. Okay, let's test the tonality first. Let's test the tone. Okay, let's use a clean brush. This is very light. I think that's probably. Oh, that's good. I see it has some texture. Okay, this is the lightness. I think it should be fine. Yeah, I think it. Still, I see the fuzzy edge, but it should be better. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, we'll just use the treated paper without the detergent in the liquid, in the mixture, the color mixture. And I use smooth side, I think. Still, we add a little yellow. Okay, go from the bottom up, right? I wish I got some more water here. Oops, let's do this. I think the piston is not working. That's why we got. Oh, here. I got it. So I'll just start from the horizon and gradually goes up, left and right. You can go back a little bit. You can go to the side. That create a nice shape of the first mountain. Okay, you can use dry brush to create a top shape. So that's when the brush is relatively dry. Let's load again. If you don't have this brush, you can use you can reload or use a larger brush. See, you got a color right. I really don't see that in my previous test. Maybe too much. I don't know if that's the reason. Okay, another thing is you can dry it right away. That's very important. You can use a piece of blotting paper. So before it gets smeared, you fix that. Yeah. So you can avoid that aura. But sometimes it's nice, to have. But if you want to keep it clean, you can blot it. That's a way to stop, to reserve, or to And you can have a little irregular shape. So it's not just like a bamboo shoot. And make it tall one. And just create shape. Okay. Now what? Wait it dry, or you can iron it. Or hair dryer. Iron may create some unexpected texture, but that's the only way I do it faster. I think, and without noise, I can keep talking. It's quiet. That's my reason to select the iron. You can use a hair dryer if you want. But I have to turn off my voice. It will be very noisy. What temperature doesn't matter. I think maybe medium temperature is good. I got a little bit ink on the surface of this felt. That's why I got a little texture. Well, a little bit is fine. It looks like the moss dots on the stone. Okay. So now it's set. Then you go for the second. I'm using the soft brush, piston brush. Okay. Now I'm going to do this overlapping. So, from bottom. Alright. Just from bottom up. Okay, no touching. Mistakes, learning curve. Let's do another one, just save some time. Okay. Just do another one there. As long as you don't have touching, you can add a little small one there. And without blotting, just blotting and iron at the same time to save time. So you don't have to change your paper, just do this. I got some dirt that created a little texture without a blotting paper. That's why I have to keep using the protecting sheet on top. I think the Sumi-e is still a mystery today. I don't know. Then I will try the third solution later. I know it's going to work. let me completely dry this so they will not bleed into each other. And I will do the horizon. Any luck on your side? Anybody have got a satisfactory effect? Okay. So the mountain is getting more like rounded. So you got more fresh, like a newer edge mountain on top, which is like a bamboo shoot, and then it's getting eroded and turns to pebbles, right, near the river. So we're doing this mount kind of shape. I'll just you don't have to copy when you try to copy someone's opinion. Even himself cannot really duplicate the same effect. So just vary the shape, the height, maybe no touching is the rule. And I don't really worry about the lighting, but you can think about the lighting if you're used to that kind of concept. Just add a little dark. I just want to cover this little texture here. Oh, no touching. And just iron. I got some nice white atmosphere, which is like a fog things. That's good. Without the dark line, I got some accidental moss dots on those mountains, which is nice. I cannot really duplicate. Don't ask me how to do that. It's just some dirt from the padding. So I just add a little last layer, maybe on the nearby hills. Okay, and then just dry it. Should we do any tree? I think, yeah, we can try. And then we'll do one more shot with my own secret. Okay. I just tried this part because that's where the tree line is. So I set the background first. I don't mind if there's some wet mountains. They're still working on its own. So I'm going to do that butterfly. I call it butterfly or flame pattern. I'll just use whatever left on my inkstone here, not from previous days. You can use fresh ink. I think they use a very fine ink. I think maybe that's better, but you can try it. Fresh ink may flow better, but I like to have some texture, particles, and things like that. Okay, I dot the line with as if they are pebble stones or something. near the river bank. And you could just draw, a few dashes, doesn't matter. Okay, now I'm going to use a large soft brush with clean water, and I decide I want to. You can add water right in the middle, so you will create a reflection. Or if you want, all the dark goes on top. Mostly, you can draw a horizon line and riverbank, on the lower part, and then that. Okay, it starts to see this this movement, right? And just add. Don't touch the dark. Okay, the idea is water behind on the or lower. The tree is higher. Okay, so let it run on top, right? And just add more water. You don't have to do the whole line. Just maybe add a little. You want some rhythm, so some. Yeah. I like it so far. So far, so good. So this created the jungle, the tropical jungle, or whatever, banana trees, that kind of thing. And when you can also add some, like he does some shape on top, and that create a interesting. You can lead the bleed a little bit. Use dry brush for that banana tree top, that kind of V shape crossing, but you don't have to add the entire tree line. I think just remember the rhythm is maybe a focal point in the middle. I don't, maybe a little higher than the other part. You can draw a little line, but try not to overdo that. You can even dark the bottom a little bit, and then you can add a little water on the bottom just to let it run a little more, and then add a little gray. That's just same color here to the bottom of the. This should be dry, so you create that pattern, same as the mountain. Not wet into wet. I'll just do this bottom part a little bit separately while the tree is still working on top. So just it's kind of too dark. Oops. I think I lost the watermark. Anyway, you can just repeat that, the different overlapping layer to create this. It takes time to manage that. You can use iron dry before each line to separate them. And finally, you can add some birds. The grouping of this sample is not very masterful, so you can do better, I think, with grouping of the birds, the geese, right, or the fishing eagle, what they're called, camerods or something. I got some stains on that corner. Maybe I should do the keys higher. You can still add a very pale layer if you need it to the distance. Let me just add a little bit. I feel this part is too empty. Don't be afraid to overlap. Okay. It's kind of light. I'm a little bit timid now. To the end. You should avoid the brush stroke. That's the point he tried to make. You know, without the brush traces. If you could do it without the brush traces. Okay, let me try the whole thing to show you. This is very close to Nicaran's painting we did the last term, right? The difference between the two artists is Nicaran actually is more emphasized on the light, and he's known for dark ink style, which makes the landscape, the light part pop. But his Chen Jialing's style is on the opposite. He tried to paint the lightest landscape as possible. So it's not emphasized on the light, more on silhouette, the profile. Let me just do some birds here to cover up some of the stains here. I don't really like that. Okay, so let me see. You have 15 minutes. Let me show you the other liquid I use, which is I have been using for the past. Oops, sorry. I just have a last touch. What do we need? It looks like a fishing man, huh? I just dropped my brush on the paper. Now I have to turn it either a tree or fisherman with a comrades, right? Maybe he's going home. Happy accident. Okay, this is it's not a dial. It's a Amway multi-purpose home cleaner. Home multi-purpose cleaner. Someone recommended it for brush washing, and you can wash any tough. This is very effective Actually, maybe that's a little too much, but I try to. Okay. Maybe I can show you the other paintings I've done with that. Just add a little bit to the mixture will help maybe to create the desired effect. Yeah, this whole pile is done with that. You see the flowers and did another orchid. I also tried to paint a photograph with this technique, and you can see how the real landscape might look like. But he really emphasized on the towering mountains, like a cathedral kind of. This is another experiment. So these lines are done with this cleaner. So let me just see if that works. My last shot. Okay. I don't know how many layers there, but doesn't matter. Oh, just remember all the things we have learned. Now I concentrate on the rules. Okay, let me separate them. Here, I try to give me one more chance, to doing double. So just this is the bottom one. It's not bad, huh? Let me just make that a little bit. So I really use the dry brush to keep the shape. Okay. Wish my better luck. Still not coming up. I don't know why. But the idea is not really about the hard line, although you could expect it to happen if you follow this procedure. To separate the each layer. And then you overlap with the same tone, you create the depth. Okay, let's say you vary the shape, and see this, vary the shape. And some small, some high. Basically, they are triangular shape, right? Yeah. Now try it. I got 10 minutes left. See the overlapping, the same tone. I didn't change the tonality. I just use the same tone, and when you overlap, you create darker values. That as you can still go back to the skyline if you want, but basically you will descend from there. You doing the lower layers and make the mountains more rounded. Oops, it's not dry. So make sure the previous layer is dry completely without blending it into each other. See that, and okay, let me see. Try to introduce a little shadow maybe on the bottom part. I don't know which side is the light. Doesn't matter. Really, it's just transparent. The third concept in his method is transparency. Toe means mean, right? It shows through each layer, and you can still go back to the top. Okay, I think I like this, although it's my last shot. I wish it will make it. Okay, now I'll do this river. You can do layer by layer, so just the first layer, and then you don't have to fill in all the blanks, just little wave with some blanks space in between, and dry it and do another overlapping layer. I got some stains there, but it's okay. That's all happy accident, just to create some vegetation. Okay. The mountain has no fixed shape, but there's a consistent natural law, you have to follow. So if you do something unnatural, you will notice it. People will notice that. So you want to follow that. You want to. If the shape is very odd, with gravity, law of gravity or something, you need to fix. Otherwise, it's all your creation, And try not to paint, just to dye. Yeah, that's the idea, I think. Without brush stroke, and you can some lost and found. When the paper is painted, it will become wrinkled. So that created some kind of fuzzy edge, texture, that kind of thing. Alright, try it. I've done a boat that's the only dark spot in the painting. I think that works pretty good. So I'll do that without using the banana trees. You can just do a fisherman's boat. Okay, I'm going to do the last touch here. It's not in the middle, maybe somewhere here. Okay, just the boat and the shadow on the boat. To fit the person there with just a hat. Because it's so small, I just hint that. And then you use a little warm color, maybe brown or some red. I've got cinnabar plus green. On the boat and on the whatever, on the body of the person, maybe a little bit. And just let it blur a little bit. And then light ink, just the same kind of reverse the shape and then pull a little bit. Could be long. And then darken a little to the bottom of the, just blur that line. Wet into wet. This is actually the most difficult part. It could ruin the whole thing very easily. And to remember, if something happens, you got detergent. You can remove it with the with the liquid. You see that it will create some horizontal waves that way, but it will blur. So you need to use the second approach. When you see something good, preserve, or by drying it, fix it. So rain, fix, or preserve, leak, and blotting or leak, and transparent, layering. If needed, I can always try that butterfly or banana technique, like he did with the darks. We're out of time. 2 minutes left. I'm going to sign on this corner. And this kind of painting requires minimum signature and date. Okay, I'll use my studio name. Actually, the initial of that, my studio name, I used since college is 记楼主, but 记楼. But I simplify it to like just a 记. And just some curvy stroke, like how you sign a name. So it's more abstract and mysterious. Not supposed to be read. Okay, and use a small seal, not large seal, to destroy the scale. I'll put on the side on bottom maybe. Let's use a piece of pad. Okay, time 1 minute left. So I can stay a little longer if you would want to show your work.
11:30.
Oh, 11:30. I'm sorry. Thanks, Victoria. I just confused the timing. So we have half an hour. There's plenty of time to do some more demo if you want. I can open the. You can take a 5 if you want, and if you have any questions, I'll do some more explanation and demo. We have half an hour left. I confused with time because Mr. Yang was talking about starting at 9, right? So only for his class is 9 to 11, or so other classes starts at 9:30. Yeah. Do you have any questions so far?
Yes. Is it true we can paint this, getting same effect from the using the treated detergent treated water and without just a plain paper?
Exactly. That's what I did on the frame, on the mounted piece. Let me show you.
So we don't.
I can do it right now, just for experiment. It has a different effect. Maybe. Actually, is this? This is treated. Yeah. Let me show you the one I did on this one. Again, this one is on the untreated paper with the with the not the laundry detergent. It's the I think I showed the bottle in the in preparation video, which is Amway's home multi-purpose cleaner. It's also a hand soap. You can clean everything. But I'm not advertising for the Amway product, but that's the one I used for this. I think I used the phthalo blue with a little bit opaque green, a little bit. So that, that's the mystery part. You cannot even duplicate. And I only used the dishwashing. I have the 3-wheel dishwasher. I just use that as a container, so whatever in there is in this painting. So really not scientific. I cannot duplicate the formula. I tried today. Let me do one more test. So on just the same solution on with the detergent, not the detergent, the hand cleaner solution to do it on regular paper. And I also have the treated regular paper. The paper may be different, than what you have. I used this cheap pad. It's a painting for calligraphy paper. You can get 30 pieces for $8 at Blue Heron. So you can also use the regular single shot. Okay. Should I try untreated paper? But it's not working on something like the Japanese paper, which is not very bleeding. We need absorbency. So we can try on this one untreated Confucius pad, Confucius Chen pad. Okay. Let me just use the same leftover here, and see. Okay, I got a lot of actually. It may be a mixture of detergent also, because I poured the detergent into that wheel. So again, it's a mystery.
Henry,
yeah.
Henry, this is Ecom. My question is, so when you use different type of soap, whether it's detergent or liquid, it just create different type of texture with a different soap. Is
I
that
think
so?
it should be the same. Is that true, Bill? Did you try? Mr. Yang， 你说中文都可以。他们问，这不同的洗衣粉和肥皂有什么不一样吗？杨老师不在了是吧 ？Okay, maybe it's too late for him. Okay, let me answer this for him. He told me that anything works. Just keep it thin. So even without it, you can do it without it. I think it just creates more. I have done something without that. The line is a little less zigzag. It could be. Let me see my early work. When I just started, I think Yeah, these are the first ones with this detergent. But before that, you know, it was. Let me see. This is my first detergent work. Yeah, see. Do I have it? Yeah, I tried something. It could be more subtle, like. You just mix put different kind of like a Western watercolor with the Chinese ink, you know, something like that. You will create the same line. You know, in boneless style of painting, we talk about that. The principle of doing that is like this. You create a shape, right? You create a shape, and then you use a clean water. It could be just clean water. You can blot it first. If you keep working on this, it won't work because it would ruin break the paper. So you want to leave some room for more moisture. Then I kind of add clean water to the center, right? That will create a hard edge on semi-sized or sized paper. But on this paper, it's kind of difficult because it keeps blurry. That's why some kind of solution is needed. On sized paper, on cold paper, like I tried with hot press watercolor paper. There's no bleeding. It's easy to get the hard edge, but it doesn't really have the fuzziness of this kind of paper. So we want to have some kind of the whole reason we use this is to create that kind of like this kind of fuzziness. So this is untreated paper, but it's kind of feathery. I think the treated paper have a tendency to have more hard edge like this. But today's problem is I have the color runs farther than the ink to create an aura kind of. I want it to sometimes maybe you cannot see really. There's a blue line and then there's an ink line. So basically the overnight ink actually better because I used the fresh ink today for the first time. I was just using the leftover ink. So that may be a problem. You can use ink cake equals to overnight ink. You see, you create more particle effect. Let's just add that. Just experiment to see what works on regular paper. You know, you can add a little particles to the solution by adding this. Just say. Another, really important part is I keep forgetting is to start from the bottom. So when the brush is dry, see, I can do the shape. Right. If you start from the top, you will create a lot of sausages. See that's dry brush, and then you can add a little more if it's too dry to make it soft. And this blotting is also very important to like the second principle is to stop when it's when you see a good effect, you want to keep. You want to blot and use iron or hair dry. So that's the. Yeah.
Henry, if you use overnight ink, when it comes to mount it, will it bleed?
That's a very good question. I will try mounting it. I will dry mount this kind of painting because the treated paper.
Okay. Yeah.
Excuse me. The treated paper may make the color too red. it's known as a side effect. In the, someone applied a first patent on this kind of technique online. But now it's expired for 35 years ago. Maybe someone not the artist we talked about. I think he's original, but many people also in that period doing this kind of experiment, and they try to duplicate his effect. I think you see the shape has nothing to do with the technique, right? So that's still very important part. When I do the mountain, my training is in classical. As the same as the Chen Jialing, he probably learned from Han Tianshou. Yeah, that's his teacher, and Lu Yanshao, another. So when I do mountain, I think about the qiu shape, like we talked about, like how to divide the shape into. So I will do first one, and then I will do something like that, right? And then something like this. So that's still classical painting. You can do Fan Quan style of a landscape in this technique. The line in this case is not painted. It's formed as like a natural line. The line, the contour line, it's created by the stain itself. This and stroke is not as important anymore, but more as you can use any brush, any quality brush, it will work. I think the main difficulty is to do it in a process of maybe 5 of 4, just like block printing. Block printing? You kind of combine different prints, yeah, to create the effect. I think that's my main challenge to avoid finishing all my mind image in one. You have to control in one step. So sometimes you have to, without think about composition for a while. So let's just say you want to do a large, a medium, maybe a medium, a small, and a large. I start from the top again, and then you do another large and small and a medium, but kind of in different locations, so not repeat itself. So basically, you can do three a group. I mean 3 a layer, right? Okay, this first layer is it's like the Chinese character for mountain is 3 peaks. So just do 3 peaks, large, small, and a medium. Forget about his decorative composition. We just create a more classical approach. Let's see if that works. And then I do the large on this side and small on this side. See if that works. Okay. I just use my dishwashing water. That's the best. Tell you the truth. You don't know what's in it. Okay. I mean, not dishwashing, the brush washing water here. Okay, now I do a large on this side, maybe a little taller, you know. Oh, I should start from the bottom. Keep forgetting that. And just do a huge one. Oh, that overshadowed the first one. That's not good. Actually, you should try to do a partial overlapping. This one's too big. Maybe that's, I forgot that. That should be another rule of game. So don't cover the previous shape completely. Overlap. Yeah, I got some color on this, stains on this. That gives me some mustards. Anyway, okay, I'll just use my dirty water here to do. And I'll do a small one. And you can just dry it, you know, immediately. Blot and dry immediately. And this time I remembered to do it from bottom up here. Okay. Okay, and then we make some lower mountains, which is more rounded. The top mountains are less eroded. They are newer in age, in Earth's age. The bottom of the near the river bank are, you know, they're more rounded, right? So that's a difference. And I'll use a different brush. Hopefully there are some leftover dark ones here. So you can make some rounded shapes. I try to keep the orientation of this blotting paper interesting. Okay, just dry with after each stroke will help to control and see the you know, the value, the effect right away. I see some kind of different effect. They got a blue line along the shape. So you can this next one is to overlap. So you can ignore the first one, or you can make it smaller. It will become. Or you can just. I've seen some people do horizon line in the foggy morning. You know, something like that. In watercolor too. Same idea. You overlap this kind of shapes. With a little overlapping each time, and then dry it after each layer. This is how I did this. Try not to repeat my or the master's. Just try your own. Okay, so. These are in the middle, so it's a kind of tall. And the stroke is not important here. The shape is more important. All right. you can divide the shape along with the idea we learned in other classes, like 3 dimensions of rock, things like that. So I would do a shape like that. You could go all the way down. And you can keep thinking the 3 different masses, large, medium, small, each time, just to place them nicely on each layer. So that's the rhythm of the shapes. You try to follow one pattern and then just twist, just dislocate each layer a little bit. It will create an interesting decorative effect. Don't worry about the actual landscape. In this painting, it's really about the feeling of the impression of it, not the realistic at all. So every mountain should start from the bottom. So the bottom end up with the darkest, right? I try to make it up a little bit. Yeah, my mentor, Mr. Yang, told me to start from the bottom. That's the biggest change. I think that makes more sense in control the shape. If I always started from the top, I was so frustrated. It all looked like rounded, like sausages, A dry brush, sometimes. Another lesson I learned from in my early edge, in the 80s, everybody's pouring ink. I showed one of my pouring ink technique painting to a classical Chinese painting history class teacher, a professor who teaches the classical Chinese painting. Okay. In archaeology class, we learned that as an art history class. He suggests me that before you go wet, try to build up the dry foundation. Start from dry, and then wet. So that's really helps. Even you paint with a wet brush, you should still think about the structure under it. That's so you don't really just paint without the bone. That's the bone of it, the dry part. Yeah. Today didn't really create the marks, but this one is on treated paper is a little better. This one I did earlier. Okay, maybe I can show you how to mount it with the dry mounting. It just take a minute. I got the paper already prepared. First of all, we need to mount the silicone onto a support. You can use any drawing paper or watercolor paper as a support. I got this silicone backing paper for dry mounting. Let me just put a little protection here. Okay. And we put silicone paper on the bottom. On top of the backing paper first. This is what we call the method, the B in our instruction sheet. Okay, you cover the support paper with a layer of silicone adhesive by ironing it. Okay, and then you cool it a little bit so you can separate it. Release the paper that comes with the silicone. It's still warm. You can see how sticky it is. If it cool a little more, it will be easier. I don't have time to wait. Okay. So that's the laminated, I have to say, with the silicone film. And then put the painting on. The painting could be a little damp. Since this is so small, maybe I don't need that. If there's a wrinkle, you can spray some water to remove it, to iron, to flatten it. So basically, I just use. Let me see. I can spray a little on the wrinkled area. Just a pinch of moisture helps to relax the wrinkles. And I use this release paper back on top of the painting, protect the dirt from my iron. Okay, right? Move things around. Okay, and then it's very important that the bottom is dry. So I just hope it's not going to create any problem. But if it's not dry, it will maybe create bubbles from the back. Let me just do it fast. And I just don't press that hard, so not all the way to the bottom to activate the steam on my pad. I usually use 4 layers of denim cloth as a pad. And you can use felt if it's dry and clean. Okay, basically just activate the silicone. Let's see. Beautiful. Okay. Can you see it? Okay, the idea is single tone ink and the color applied in multiple layers, and you can see how dark it is after mounting. Okay. I got some stickiness on this. Sorry, that's some extra stickiness on this sheet. That's the. No, we're fine. We'll just trim that edge off. It's a little bit extra. Okay, so I can take a picture and send it to you for your inspiration. And I'll send the other one I did earlier in preparation for the class to you. Any further questions? Now it's 11:30. I think Yongler is still here. Yongler, do you have any question on this technique? Mr. Yang.
That was fascinating. Thank you, Henry.
You're welcome, and hope everybody have a good time experimenting. I think your studio is now your laboratory. Okay, just experiment, but still it's art. So don't be afraid to break any suggestions I've made. You can find your own, and then you're welcome to share with us in the class. Okay.
Henry?
Henry, do you know of any long-term effects of the detergent on the paper?
Yeah, I asked that question to Mr. Yang. He said he had paintings he had done in the 80s, still good. I think, when they make the painting, they use bleach, something. Just keep it thin. I think the solution I used to treat the paper is 200%. It could be even thinner. I mean, not 200%. 1 to 200. How to say that? Or 500. 1 to 500.
Just say 1% detergent, right?
Yeah, 0.% detergent. 0.5. Less than 1%. Less than 1. Okay, I used 4 cups. Remember, I used 4 cups and then 1 tea, which equals to 1 to 200.
And today you used paper with no detergent, is that right?
Yeah, this one is no detergent. I use detergent.
Yeah.
The detergent, it should be just like that. Maybe 0.5% the most.
Because I think my detergent that I have in the UK doesn't work very well.
Oh, the detergent. You mean for? You can use the other
Dishwashing.
cleaning agent. Could be hand soap. I haven't tried that, but the one I used in the final is called Amway Home Multipurpose Detergent, not detergent, cleaner. And this is the Tides. Tides doesn't work for direct application for some reason. I don't know. You can try dishwasher detergent or hand wash. I also have hand wash detergent. I haven't tried, but I think the more important part is the proportion of ink, fresh ink or old ink, and what kind of color. Could be transparent color, maybe a little bit mineral color. But if you have too much mineral color, it tends to turn it muddy. So be careful with that. So muddy, yeah.
Daisy, I'm in the UK as well. I tried hand wash, and it works very well to answer your questions. So I use the laundry washing powder to soak the paper, but just as Henry demonstrated today, I use the sized paper, semi-sized paper, but I use hand wash liquid, and it worked very well.
That's a good point. Semi-sized paper may work better. I have a feeling of that because it bleeds less, right? Then you remove a little bit with the detergent. It might have a good combination. I'll try that. Thanks for sharing.
Henry, yeah. Henry, I want to ask you questions about this technique, contemporary landscape painting. Besides the difference in techniques, are there any difference in terms of the underlying messages communicated by the painting?
Yeah.
In terms of the classical.
The emphasis is not on calligraphy, although they're still using the brush. More on the abstract shape and color. I think the form. There is more. It's become a pure form of art. Maybe it's still lyrical or poetic in traditional way, but they used to judge a painting purely based on brushwork, which takes years of practice to develop. So this artist, when he did this, his teachers and his friends, colleagues, all think he's crazy because he abandoned all his training background. He could be a very good traditional landscape painter already. But he abandoned that. He embraced the the brushless approach. And he later become a designer in paint with glaze on porcelains, large porcelain jars. Also he does fashion design. He make scarves and Chinese lady dress, what we call qipao, the long qipao dress with his styles. He works very good in fashion. So he does also furniture design. So he is more into that kind of practical, functional art world. I think when I come to the States, I painted a T-shirt in this kind of style, like a blue heron, Yeah.
So Henry, are you saying that actually for this particular artist, his art is more decorative art rather than fine
decorative art, right? I call it decorative. Yeah, it's an emphasis more on a decorative aspect of art, but it's still fine art. Like for decorative art, it's less experimental, right? I've seen a big trend in decorative art in UK and other countries. They paint wallpaper in Chinese and infusion of Chinese and European style, but that's kind of Gombi, more decorative than this. He was a Gombi artist. He later become. I think this is more in a Sumi-e tradition, right? In a free hand style, so you cannot really do replicate. I think duplicate his own art even. Okay.
So Henry,
Yeah.
Henry, I have a question. So we added the detergent. We just try to get the thin line between the mountains, so we can. Easily
Not the
separate.
between mountains. You see the line on the edge of the shape. That I call it. My Western watercolor teacher call it a puddle edge. But in this paper, we don't really have the puddle. The puddle is like a puddle of water. You can really see it on the surface of sized paper. On this paper, I maybe call it stain edge, like leaking stain edge. You will notice it on the in New York City, maybe on the walkways on the street. I noticed after people water their garden, you will see this kind of pattern on the ground, on the cement ground. It's the same kind of mechanism. It creates some kind of edge, very interesting edge when the stains gets dry. Yeah, the water stain mark. Okay. Speaking of water stain mark, I think I talked the house leaking stains, the inspiration of from natural patterns or texture in very early time in the Tang Dynasty. Actually, they already developed the pouring ink style, and some although we don't have the painting left. But some artists already be very experimental. That they put ink in the water to generate a marbling effect. That kind of thing has been, but it's not the mainstream. The mainstream is emphasis on calligraphy, the brushwork. But in the new age, people go back to that old tradition. In Taiwan, Liu Guosong, the other artist I'll talk next time, was inspired by this kind of historical record, and also paintings done by Fan Kuan, for example. His painting of Huashan, the big majestic mountain, like 2 meters tall, but he didn't really belongs to the literati painting school. You will see a lot of little dots, right, a lot and the washes, but not calligraphy lines. So there's no tip concealed line. And his painting is called the Yudian, so it's more like the raindrop stains. And some artists like Guo Xi does some cloud stains, cloud wrinkles. but he used brush. Anyway, so this kind of theory has a long tradition, but not being taken serious. It's like ink play, occasional play, not the mainstream of brush painting. But after 1980s, it became a new style, and there's another branch which is called experimental Sumi or ink painting. They are more modernist. They don't paint the traditional themes anymore. They just abstract art. So you just play with ink marks and effects, including the Nobel literature winner, Gao什么的? What's his name? He's a painter of that. 高行健, yeah, 高行健 also does that. 高行健, thank you. Yeah, he also does abstract Sumi or ink painting. Yeah, it's very expressionistic. But Chen Jialing is in between, so he's the pioneer in this trend, but he never went that far to abstract. Some of his contemporary artists did borrow Western abstract art, like Milor's art, become more abstract. We can talk. I have an article written by Mr. Yang on 4 artists, including Chen Jialing and the 3 others. They're all experimental or modernist, in Shanghai, in that time. Okay, actually, Mr. Yang himself is also very advanced in this trend. So I hope we will learn more as he teaches how to do the urban landscape, because when he does everything with a lot of buildings, like towering buildings, in the same way like this, Chicago, New York, or LA, like skyscrapers. So I'm very interested in learning that in the end of this class. But before that, we'll go through some other artists that may help in techniques or in concept. So we'll explore. Maybe he has 3 influences: 潘天寿, 陆延绍, and who's the other? 潘天寿, 陆延绍. I think Liu Guosong it may be, but Liu Guosong is not direct influence, but he also opened the trend in we call it 制作, kind of rendering or making, experimental, not just brush painting in the traditional method, but it become more technical. Like you start finding different materials, different agents, different binding chemicals or paints. They also use Western paints, maybe. So that's. By the way, if you see any wrinkles, you can just spray a little water, and it would be flattened. But some wrinkles is okay, because I think it shows the delicacy of the paper.
The painting book that you showed in the beginning of the class, does that have a lot of the kind of work that we're discussing today in it?
The book?
The book, yes.
Oh, this book only have 1 page. You don't have to buy this book to.
Okay.
Yeah, this book is not about techniques. It's about the social change, political change, the artist lives on art. Yeah, that's the only page which is on Chen Jialing, and it doesn't have any ideas on his approach. It's only mentioned his blotting, sipping, and the printing method. That's all.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's another example is here is you can find a lot of paintings on Google. Just Google his name in English
Okay,
or
great.
Chinese. I'll already sent you all the varieties of this style landscape, right? I think his light ink landscape is more successful than his blotting ink style. I can show you some other collections maybe in the online class. I have a folder of other styles and also have the flower painting samples. If you like, we can spend more time on him if you want to learn, you know. But
I'm sorry, Henry, I have to go. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
thank you everybody. Let me see if
Thank you.
any questions on the chat. Let me see. Chat, there are 5. Okay. Melting fluid. Yeah, there's some English terminology I need to pick up from my English mentor, Barbara. Thank you for teaching me. The edge is fluted or melting, which means soft, right? I try to get the hard edge, kind of zigzag line. I don't know how to describe that. If you could help, that would help. Patty, okay. Yeah, some question I already answered. If not, I would. You can address it again. I will reply in the forum. Okay, online forum. If you email me, it's also okay. If you're not part of the forum, I strongly encourage you to join the online class discussion after the class, and you can share your works with others there. Thank you. It's been.
Thank you, Henry.
Okay, thank you, Henry.
Thank you. See you next week. I'll send you the materials about that in the weekend. Bye bye now.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank
Happy
you.
painting, happy experimenting.
Recording stopped.